got the DJI Mavic Air here and the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. And what we're gonna do today is compare how they fly. We're gonna fly the same way, and we're gonna shoot at 4K, 30 frames per second, same flight path. We're kind of gonna give you a side-by-side, and then we're gonna do some panning. After that, we're gonna try the 1080 frames, you know, the 120 frames per second slow motion. We're gonna have
and the active track.
And the active track. So we'll have a person jump, and then we'll have a follow a person. In this tutorial, we are really focusing on the camera, as that is the key factor differentiating the Air to the Mavic 2 Pro. The Mavic 2 Pro camera is a DJI and Hasselblad collaboration, and the Mavic 2 Pro carries a 1-inch sensor capable of shooting 20 megapixel photos and ultra high definition 4K. Furthermore, the camera has an adjustable aperture from f-stop 2.8 to f-stop 11, and the Mavic Air does not have this option. On the Mavic 2 Pro, we shot using the 10-bit D-Log color profile. This option retains more details in shots, making them sharper and allowing for a higher dynamic range. This is great for color grading in post-production. Whereas you can notice that on the Mavic Air, we shot in the standard out-of-the-box setting, as the Mavic does not have this option. The standard image feels a little oversaturated on the Air. It is also important to note the two different 4K modes the Mavic 2 Pro offers. It has the FOV mode and the HQ mode. In the FOV mode, the drone resamples the 20 megapixels down to 8 megapixels. In the HQ mode, it just takes the middle 8 megapixels without performing any resampling. Basically, the 4K HQ mode is a pixel-to-pixel readout of the cropped sensor area. We also wanted to show you a comparison of a slow motion 1080 120 frames per second shot. It seems like the Mavic 2 Pro sensor was more zoomed in. Here we test the active track function. DJI introduced Active Track 2.0 on the new Mavic 2 Pro model, and it now uses the main camera and the two optical sensors to track a subject with much greater precision than before. The Active Track 2.0 now attempts to predict your movements up to 3 seconds into the future. One difference versus the Air is that now you need to use both your phone and the controller, whereas before you could have only used the phone on the Wi-Fi function on the Air. It is funny that the Active Track on the Mavic 2 Pro should be improved, but we still managed to lose our subject when the subject ran underneath the drone. As of this recording, on October 11th, DJI released a new update that optimizes Active Track 2.0, so hoping that once we update the drone, we will get better Active Track tracking. For the success of Active Track, it's also important to control and set it up. In terms of drone agility, speed, and braking, there was not a whole lot of difference between the drones. The Air had a more robust yet agile feeling to it. I actually bought this drone from Taylor. He was upgrading to the newly released about a month ago.
Yeah, which wasn't an easy decision.
Yeah, I think he still regrets it.
No, I really like the small size of the drone. It's a very confident flyer. You know, the extra sensors over the original Mavic Pro in the back really helped, and you know, it doesn't really get affected by wind that much, and takes a good image. My thing is I do mostly still photography though, so when they came out with the 1-inch sensor and the Hasselblad lenses, I was really drawn to that. Really wanted to have the 20 megapixel and the higher dynamic range, and so it's really helped. I think the pinhole camera on that does a really good 4K video, but the 12 megapixel images are often washed out, and you can't control the aperture or do any of the common DSLR functions that you might want. So this is basically like a floating DSLR, where that is a really good floating video camera. And it will return to home if there's a prolonged lapse in signal, and I would recommend that when you're setting up your settings, you put it at least, you know, 90, 120 feet for the return to home height, just to make sure that you're taller than the trees. You know, most buildings, you know, it does look where it's going, but just to be safe, I start out high until it's over me, and then it comes straight down. The controllers are very similar, so mine's more like the Mavic Pro, the original Mavic Pro controller. It has all the readouts to kind of keep that off of your preview screen on your smartphone or tablet. And so it's kind of nice to always know exactly where to look at your altitude, your speed, your signal, you know, maybe even your recording mode and stuff like that. But when I had the Air, I didn't mind having that readout on the phone.
Yeah,
it was still enough preview screen to tell.
Same size.
This one's a little thicker, so when you're packing it,
too,
you'll notice that it doesn't quite fit in the same places that the Air does, which I guess is the theme of the drone. It just doesn't quite fit in all the same places.
Yeah, so it's really about what you want to go for, but still I think both form factors, you can put them in a backpack, carrying them around, hike with them, so it's convenient.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're primarily shooting video, you don't have a lot of reasons to make the extra expenditure for the Mavic 2.
Yeah.
If you're like me and you want to shoot mostly stills, I mean, you can't beat this camera.